Hi, everybody. This is the inaugural podcast for mentoring. I've got to come up with a really cool name. Jerry, maybe you can assist me with this. And we are talking to mentors across the United States with eXp Realty that are going to give us some of their tips and insights on how to get started in the real estate world. With me, I've got the one, the only, I got Jerry Germansen with me. Jerry is up in the Prescott, Arizona area. That's up in the beautiful high country, almost high country, mid country. You relocated here from Chicago to the Prescott area. You've got 20 years in the real estate world. You've been licensed in Illinois, in Montana, in Arizona. You've got a full background on the differences of different states. You have you're an associate broker with eXp. You've had your own brokerage. You've had 9 offices throughout Central Arizona.
Yep.
That seems like a lot of work.
It is.
Thank
God for eXp.
You are partnered with your beautiful wife, Cian, and together you guys have a combined 59 years of experience. That's a lot of experience.
It is, yeah.
59 years of experience in real estate. You won eXp's Mentor of the Year Award as well as eXp's Chairman Award this last year, and you are a regular capper. Oops. Hang that up. And thank you for being here. Thank you for participating with me.
It's my pleasure. I'm always willing to help. That's what the mentoring spirit's all about.
It is. It is. And that's why when I reached out to people about doing this, everybody was like, yeah, count me in. So, you know, this being the first podcast and the first time of doing this, really we can start at the very, very beginning of what's something that the first thing you would tell a brand new agent.
Don't expect to walk into this new career and not put the time in that it requires to take from learning how to pass the real estate test to learning how to be a real estate agent in the public and garner some success for yourself. It takes another level of commitment beyond what you had going to real estate school to really make this work. And it's a full-time job, especially when you first start up. A lot of people think they can start out with this full part-time and graduate into full-time. It really works the other way. You have to go in full-time and take it on part-time as you look toward retirement. And that's the beauty of eXp. It allows you to do that. But you have to really give it your full attention. And it starts right from day one. Because when you're onboarding with the company, as an example, you're going to be inundated with emails. Every day, 20 emails. You're going to be very confused. You need to open them. That is the first thing you need to do.
My advice would be open them one at a time and take action. Take the first one, do what you need to do. Then go to the next one, do what you need to do.
Yeah. We see, because I'm mentoring several agents right now that are new, as well as a couple that are experienced, but it is quite you're inundated with these emails and you really don't know what to do with them, but yeah, one at a time, small steps get you there. But
you eat an elephant.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I think it needs to be said is that a lot of people who have had, we'll call it a job mentality, that have, gone to work 9 to 5 for whatever time frame that they have. When they come in, that this is not a 9 to 5.
No.
This is, you might work 12 hours, 15 hours in a day just to do the things that you need to do, especially in the beginning as you're learning everything, and any task takes you longer, but that you've really got to be a self-starter. You've got to be self-motivated to get those things done.
Right. You got to be prepared to take action at the really almost at the drop of the hat, because one of my agents years ago said, you make a month's pay in 1 hour, and it is a job of opportunity. We have to be there to accept that opportunity, grab it, do that work for an hour, and that's going to get you a month's pay. But you have to be ready to do that, and you never know when it's going to come. It's not going to be on your terms. It's going to be on your client's terms, that initial engagements that gets you to close of escrow.
Well, and there's hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of work getting yourself to be in that place where that 1 hour.
Yeah, the preparation side of it. Yeah, learning the career, becoming a professional in this industry is not an easy task, and that's why you see the fallout rate so high after 3 or 4 years. If you went into a real estate school and talked to a class, about 1 out of 4 in that class will probably survive 4 years later. That's a real statistic. You want to be the 1 out of 4, and in order to do that, you have to engage, and you really need someone like a mentor like me or many others in our company that are willing to give you the time and the knowledge that we've gathered over time to get you there.
Well, and I really like the piece of having a mentor, because there's so many things that like we've already skinned our knees on.
Yep.
And that they don't have to skin their knees on it, that we can help them through, hey, listen, here's a tip, here's a trick, here's something that is going to make this a little smoother, a little easier. One of the things that you mentioned in the communication that we had previously was organization. And I know that my brother is a new agent and you are his mentor. Thank God. I'm so grateful for you.
I'm grateful for him. He's a good one.
and getting him organized and really, he didn't understand, well, really, I don't have to do that. And then all of a sudden he realized, oh crap, I got to be organized.
Yeah. That's the first thing I talk about with people is the organization. And it really starts with the filing system. You need to have a good filing system, and today it's all digital. Mm-hmm. My biggest tip that I teach a new agent is your filing system starts with A buyers. That's the first folder on my computer. A sellers is the second. EXP Realty is the third. And within those, I break down the A buyers into buyers that are active and buyers that are done. And in done, I break it down into those that have closed escrow and those that have not. So it's a good filing system. So when you open up your documents, boom, they're right there.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's
through alphabet to find an EXP.
Say that last bit again. My connection lost you.
You don't need to go through your entire documents alphabetically to find the important folders that you as a real estate professional are going to use every single day. And so I start every folder that's important to me with A buyers done, A sellers done, and A EXP, because those are the folders that especially a new agent really needs to engage in to start with. So
I do that in my email as well, so that my email folders, while I'm on my phone, I can get to the ones I need to get to right away.
Absolutely. Yep.
Same
so I just, because I haven't been doing that with my emails, but that's a good idea. I wind up doing a fair amount of searching by name, and having it set up that way would make more sense.
Well, that way I set up rules so that anything associated with that particular property automatically gets tagged with that heading, but that my buyers are all right up there at the top and my sellers right up there at the top. And that way I can get to those folders quickly and easily, and I don't have to scroll down.
Yep. Good idea.
Perfect. So one of the things that you said that you did that you always do is you set up workforce page. What is a workforce page?
Well, we have groups in workforce, and we have our general EXP group. We have an Arizona State group. Brian Culhane has a group of people.
Workplace, not workforce.
Workplace, yeah.
Okay, I know what workplace is. I'm like, what is workforce?
Well, if you look in Expand, or in our, not Expand, in our passport, I believe they call it workforce in there, that the tab to click to get into it. I believe it's called workforce.
Oh, okay.
I set up an EXP agents workforce or workplace group so that I can post things there. I can talk about, we have a Superfund site as an example in our area. There's going to be a meeting coming up, and they're going to talk about the remediation of a Superfund site. That's huge for disclosure. Agents need to know about that. They need to attend the meeting. They need to listen to what the EPA is saying and what the community reaction is to that. The only way you're going to get that is by hearing about it from somebody. So when I heard about it, I thought, important, post it and get it out there so everybody knows. I also post files there. I've been in this business 20 years, and with at one time 65 agents and 9 offices, I've had to manage people in different ways than a new agent would necessarily be thinking. Mm-hmm. So I have a buyer broker follow-up letter. When you get a client that comes in, a buyer that comes in, and you've gone through agency with them, which is always the first thing you do, mm-hmm. and you then, the next form that you should discuss is a buyer broker agreement. Most buyers at that point, all they're thinking about is, I want to go see it. I want to go see it. I want to go see it. So their focus is sign anything you put in front of them, which is not smart on their part, but we understand the emotional side of it. So I created a follow-up letter that basically says, you and I have entered into an agreement to work together for the purchase of your new home. And here's the way you need to handle that. Don't go into an open house without me. If you see a property you want to see, don't call off the sign, call me and I'll make the arrangements, things like that. I even include in there a handout that they can give if they can't stop from going into an open house. I have a form that I want the agent sitting at that open house to sign, acknowledging that these are my clients, and if you sign this, you're going to agree that I'm procuring costs, number one, and secondly, if you don't sign this, they're going to leave. And so I've got some things like that in place. You know how long it took me to develop that? A new agent's not going to think of that for 10 years. No, that's time and experience, and like I said, that skinning of our knees that we learn. That's a really good idea. I like that. I still have a scar from the time that I thought about that, and it cost me 10 grand, and it was a lesson. In the long run, it was worth the $10,000, really. Well, I mean, yeah, that's part of what the mentoring experience is about. That's why I'm putting this together, because I don't do that, and that would be really supportive for me and supportive for me to share with the people who I'm mentoring as well. So join our Prescott group. I'll invite you in. Okay, great. I will. And so some of the other things that you have, and you have ordering cards, and one of the things that is always an issue with me, real estate agents always have a picture on their card because we're marketing ourselves, we're selling ourselves. But go get a good picture. Right. It's not a selfie picture. Yeah. It's a professional picture. Right. Right. And colors really matter on those, because if you're wearing a color that clashes with the EXP colors, you need to think about that. I love prints, but when you do a photograph for your business cards, you wear a solid picture. I've got a degree in photographic art, an associate's degree, and so I've done a lot of photography. And right. Wear a solid color so that you don't have that busyness, and your face is what ends up being memorable, not, oh, well, what a pretty top. Yeah. At the same time, you want to have your personality come through. I mean, I remember up in Montana, there was a gal that wore a tuxedo with the pants rolled up and crazy socks, and she was smoking a cigar.
That's memorable.
And that was her personality out in public. It worked for her. Now, it wouldn't work for me, but it worked for her. So you can be creative, but you need to be professional at the same time.
Yes, yes. And that's, you're creating a professional persona. You're creating your business, and everything that you put out in the public represents you and your business. Make sure that it's all in alignment. Like I like what you said about dressing, and dressing for success is different depending upon what you are selling.
Absolutely. You can't go out and sell a ranch wearing a suit. It's not going to work. You better be wearing some cowboy boots, and they better be dirty. And it wouldn't hurt to even be packing.
In Prescott, especially.
Exactly.
So dressing for success, and with that, it also comes with, if you're out selling ranches, you don't want to be in a little tiny low car.
Right.
You want to have a truck.
Well, I'll tell you, we have a hybrid, a convertible, and a Suburban. It depends on the day what we're going to drive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I wouldn't want to take my little Toyota driving through 4-wheel drive to go look at land.
Right. Yeah.
So
especially up here in the mountains. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Dressing for success is the full accoutrement of all of it.
Absolutely. And let's talk about that a minute, because there's so many different facets of the real estate business. You could be selling cemetery plots to condos, to land, to business opportunities, to new homes, to resale homes, manufactured homes. We run the full gamut here. And you need to be open for the right opportunity that comes along. I'll give you an example. And I talk about this with new agents. Don't get yourself locked in that you need to start by selling cheap houses because you're new. They're more difficult to close the deal on than a moderately priced or more expensive home. I wouldn't suggest that a new agent go out and sell a $5 million house. You don't have the experience to really work your way through that. You're going to be eaten up by the other agent. But you also don't have what's necessary to close the least expensive house, because those buyers, if you have somebody that can afford a $500,000 house, they can easily drop down to $400,000. But if you're looking at selling a $180,000 manufactured home, the person qualifying for that, there are no other properties below that. So it's tougher for them to qualify at that price range than it is for a more expensive home. So that's one aspect of it. The other is to be available to yourself to grab onto an opportunity that might come along in your career, and it can come along early. As an example, my wife knew somebody that had a couple hundred acres for sale, and I went with her. And we took the listing. And this guy walks into my office one day and had his accountant with him. And he said, "We want to buy that property." Well, it was land, and it was rural land. And since then, I've probably sold them, that group of people, at least 5,000 acres of land. And in some deals, 800 acres, 1,700 acres. That was an opportunity that came along, and my goal at that point in my life was, frankly, to be semi-retired and sell a house a month for beer money. That's what I got into the real estate business to do. And of course, then I fell in love with the business, and I bought out my broker, and the story just continues to grow. But be ready to grab onto an opportunity, because they're out there. You just never know when it's going to come along. So be available and be ready to change gears. It's an important thing to remember.
So let me ask you this then. What are your thoughts on somebody as they're planning their business model, their business strategy of identifying a niche and marketing and going for a niche, but be available to do, don't pigeon yourself too much, be willing and able to do other things. Is that, would you say that would be a good success strategy?
Exactly. I mean, take Kent, your brother. Kent has made a decision because of background. First of all, he lived in Alaska for years. He was a heavy equipment operator, a union heavy equipment operator. He knows dirt.
He knows dirt.
You can look at a piece of dirt. He knows the drainage. He knows the soil types. He's a perfect agent to work on land deals. But who knows? It could be that, and he's working on a deal right now on a section of land, breaking it up with a public report. He's not doing a public report; that's been done, but he's selling off some of the lots. He's probably been the most successful in that section of land that's been subdivided. But he might wind up being the guy that sells the house, which could be more profitable than just selling the dirt. Mm-hmm. So, and I know he's kind of he doesn't want to sell houses.
No, he doesn't. He's like, I don't want to get into that. I like my land. I like my dirt.
And that's okay. But don't cut yourself off from the opportunity should it come along with a builder that's going to buy 100 acres in there and put in 300 or 400 homes. Don't let that opportunity slip by, because if you don't grab it, somebody else is.
Don't cut off your nose to spite your face.
Exactly. Yeah.
And because I started off with a company that was sold a lot of new homes, and yep. I did new homes, and then I shifted when the market was starting to shift, and you couldn't, like, there were lines for new homes. Like, it was crazy. Back in 2004-05, yep. And I shifted over to start selling more resale. And I remember my first resale contract. It was like, I felt like a brand new agent, even though I had 60 or 80 homes under my belt already. Yep. And so I had to be willing to be flexible to do something different, especially with the way our market moves and changes. You've got to be willing to step into something new and different.
Right. Talk a little bit more about how I function with agents. The first thing I do is set up people with the file organization, because that's really the key. Otherwise you wind up with a stack of papers with no organization, and they're on paper, number one, instead of electronically, where you can go on vacation and take it with you. Mm-hmm. I also talk about Google Calendars, because that's a real important part of our business, is not only creating a calendar that's on your computer, but also on your phone, and that syncs. And in the case where there's two of us with my wife, I have blue and she has green, and they merge together under one calendar. So I know what she's doing. We can plan things together, and that's a third color. But also making that available on your phone, so it's portable and it's with you all the time. Once I get people to do that, I want them to schedule their time. We need to have them schedule time for the training modules that EXP has for mentees. They need to go into the training that's available in our EXP world. They need to schedule time to meet with me. And at first I meet with them in person, and I help them get all of that stuff set up. And then I start switching over to meetings in EXP world once they're acclimated into that system. That comfort level, boost up your agent's comfort level in the digital world. That's something that EXP is different than most other brokerages, any other brokerages that I know of. I also have them set up Passport. I set them up in Passport, and we go through the different tabs in there of what is marketing, where's the training, etc. And then create a database of your people. You've got all these people that some people have them on a handwritten, some people do have them in a database, but bring them into Google. Mm-hmm. So you have them in your Google contacts, and then they can be categorized. Your family, your friends, your past clients, your future clients, you know, the vendors in the industry. You can categorize everybody, so it's a single source under Google to manage your business. Then I talk about people, you know, order your cards and make sure you get yourself a domain name, because that needs to go on your card. Talk about Facebook. If you're going to do a Facebook business page, that needs to be on there. And then I really like to get in, next thing I like to do is to get into a discussion of agency, because just like the public with agency, agents often skirt right past that, and that will get you in trouble. So that's an important early on discussion.
Yes, very much so. And the getting started and set up is part of also that piece of being organized and getting through the initial communications and setting up of your business.
Right. And that's where all the emails come into play, because you're going to be inundated.
Yeah.
Just take your time, one at a time. Knock them down like you're bowling, one pin at a time. You know, don't try to get a strike. Knock down one at a time. And and you will get there. It can be overwhelming. Some people have a very difficult time with that, and especially people who are real eager and are multitaskers. It's difficult for them to take this on one at a time, baby steps. Start to walk, then start to jog, then start to run. It's a process. And I have an agent I'm mentoring now who's very smart. She's got it now, but it took a couple of weeks of her not wanting to deal with the emails and expecting the onboarding process. How come it's taken so long for me to get stuff? I had to explain to her that we have an accounting department. We have we have all these departments that she's not even seeing yet that have to bring her into their systems before those systems go out to her. She's got it, and she's off and running now. So she's at the jogging stage, I would say.
Good.
And she's negotiating her first sale.
Yeah.
I've been in the business for less than a month.
Oh, that's phenomenal.
Yeah.
One of the things that I think is really important for a new agent, that if they don't already have a transaction ready to go for them, or resource, let everybody they know, like, come out of the closet, let everybody know.
Yeah, don't be the secret agent. Don't be 007.
Yeah, you really need to. It's leveraging the people who you already know, because that's where you're most likely to get your very first transaction, is from somebody who you know.
Yeah, in fact, this was this agent that I'm talking about, it was a neighbor down the block that her husband heard that they were going to sell. And they had already made a deal with a listing agent, but she's got a buyer that would be right for it from out of state. And I've been working with her on preparing a contract and getting him lined up with the lender and, doing all the background stuff, but it's her buyer. And that's what a good mentor will do. You'll help them and create the first transaction, just so they can see the process. I had her in my office yesterday to personally show her how to run comps on that property. People don't understand that yet at getting into the business. That's a very important part of the puzzle. Knowing values.
Well, and there's so much to learn that just getting into, we happen to use Flex MLS. I'm not sure what. Okay. And so that is a huge program to learn. And then you have all the rest of them. So there's the learning curve. I kind of say it's like, okay, you finish and you get your license, and now we have to teach you. Now you're out of kindergarten, basically. Yeah,
you've learned to pass a test when you've gone to real estate school. That's all. And how to put your fingerprint on a card. That's for the state. That's it. So from here on, it's really up to the industry and the brokers you're with and the people you surround yourself with to bring you up and give you that leg up and that hand down the ladder to that person and help them get up rung by rung. And that's so important. And our systems are set up perfectly to make that happen.
Well, and but you've got to understand, like, what what the system is and what its purpose is and how that system's going to help you. So you said there's a learning curve to it all, and the patience of being willing to have somebody support you, train you, teach you.
Right. And that brings up another point. There's really two types of mentees. There's the new agent mentee, but there's also the experienced agent who's first coming over to our company that needs mentoring as well, because they don't know our systems. And
Right.
it's so important to give them that easy entrance into EXP. They know how to sell. They know how to do comps. They know how to write a contract, but they don't know how to handle our internal systems. And that is an entirely different mentoring system to get them engaged. You can forget about all of the easy stuff that we think now is easy. The typical learning to be a real estate agent, they're way beyond that. And that's a case where you got somebody that can pick it up real quickly, but they do need help.
So what's the one piece that you think an existing agent, an experienced agent who comes over to our company, what's the one piece that they really need that additional support in to be successful within our company and our systems?
It starts with Passport. It really does, because they've got the other skills, but you bring them into Passport, and all of the tabs in Passport, SkySlope is an example. Some agents are experienced in SkySlope from other brokerages. I'm working with somebody now that came over from a different brokerage, and she and her husband are both experienced in SkySlope. They don't need that training, but they need to know how to get to it within our system. And to get there, it's really through our Passport system.
Mm-hmm.
So SkySlope, our workforce or workplace system of communication and engaging, our different trainings that are available, a calendar for training, to go in there and find out about the different things that we offer. As an example, if somebody's coming over from another brokerage, they won't know about our ways of recruiting and sponsoring new people into the company. And that's an important part too, because you're building a retirement with that. And so exposing them to that and getting them into that, and that's pretty easy, because they don't know they don't need to learn how to sell real estate.
Yeah.
They need to learn how to put it to work in EXP. So that's a different mentoring system for me than new agents.
Perfect. Yeah, because it's a different, it's a slice of the mentoring, not the whole
Exactly.
education piece.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah, it's much easier.
Are there any secret tips or tricks that you, like we talked about the skinning of the knees, that you have to finish us off?
Yeah, get out in the public. Don't be afraid. Hand out business cards. We have an agent that wears a kilt, and he goes out and hands out business cards at Walmart. And he does this every single day. He wears his kilt. His business cards have a kilted background to it, a Scottish background, and he goes by Kilted Ken. So people know him, and he's been door knocking wearing his kilt. He's starting to see some success. And he came in the fall when the market up here drops off in the fall, but he's got some things happening now. He's got some listings. He's closed a couple deals, and he's got another listing in my neighborhood coming up. He's been door knocking my neighborhood. Good for him. You know what? That makes me look better, because the name EXP gets out with somebody, even if it's not me. The name EXP gets out there, and that's good for all of us.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Thank you, Jerry, very much for your time, your insight, and your knowledge. I appreciate your sharing. I'm going to put this into the workforce for the mentorship program, and it'll be a couple other places. I'll probably put it on the Arizona group as well. And thank you very much. It's been fun.
Anytime, Irene. It's a pleasure.
Mwah.
Back.
See you soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
Where do I stop? Here we go.